I think this one's going to be pretty bare bones, pretty straightforward, even with the new meta. I think everything that we're going to see is pretty expected. You know, we're still going to be playing for the CCTV wall. We're still going to be going for Garage. So I think it's really going to be down to wits and who can get one over on the other.
Yeah, I mean, we start off in the operator ban phase, and Thatcher's an operator that's really fallen off in terms of the bans. Obviously, with secondary EMPs coming through, Thatcher not going to be as important of a ban to take off the board. Thatcher Mav ban, though, that's going to be impactful. We're 100% going to see those EMPs coming out, whether they're on Lion, whether they're on Nook. You've got to bring as many of those as you can, because it's going to be very, very important that you open those hatches against, I was going to say, Kaid. Without the Kaid, it's still very important you can open the Jacuzzi wall, the CC wall, whatever it might be. There's a lot of hard breach that's really important on this map, and so without Thatcher and Mav, it's going to be quite difficult to get some of those out of there.
Yeah, very gentleman-like with these bans from DarkZero, respecting everything that the Soniqs are capable of, and the Soniqs going to remove a zombie as well. But with this new meta in play and how things are now working, both sides of the coin, they have some tremendous weapons at their disposal. The big one that we need to talk about on offense, it's got to be the Nook. Jesse, update me on this.
Well, the Nook is, it's been a very powerful operator because she brings in, obviously, a decent gadget, being able to slide past those cameras, be very difficult to deal with. Also, the EMP grenades or frag grenades, whatever you're feeling on that happen on that day, whatever the role is you need to fulfill. Again, I'd expect if we see a Nook in this matchup that she will be on the EMP grenades. And then, of course, the weaponry as well. 3-speed, great gun, being able to rattle off a lot of those bullets, and especially with the new suppressors, a Nook can show up in places you just don't expect, and the suppressors can make it so difficult to recognize where they're at. So Nook can be a very powerful operator. We don't actually see it to start off our picks. Of course, there's still 13 seconds for DZ to change their minds on it, but their current entry operators look like Hyper is going to be on the Zofia, and then, of course, we've got Pambazoo actually on the Hibana secondary hard breach.
Yeah, it could be a hard ask in certain situations if teams have been banning out Nook a lot inside of their scrims, because then you're not used to having that player that gets that initial task done, right? Gets the EMP out there, you get the wall open, but then Nook, what she really needs to do is go to the complete other side of the map or go to somewhere where they don't know where she's going to be entering from, and then start pressuring through her utility, being able to sneak past cameras and just be a little bit more quieter than the rest of the offenders, and all those different reasons are the exact reason we've been seeing her get banned out so much. She's just so hard to track, and you don't want somebody slipping through the cracks. You'd much rather deal with somebody that you can see on cameras at all times. But fortunately enough, not too much happening just yet. Oh, Gunner's going to want that one back as he just flies over the shoulder of Eclipse.
Really not a lot of roamers right now. I believe it's only Rexon who's standing there on the top floor. He's really going to be one of those players that has a lot of weight on him through this map. If he can delay some time, if he can get a pick or two, that's great. But if he's just going to die, then that could be a problem. He's very close to these main stairs, so I anticipate he won't have a problem getting back to the site. It's a little bit of extension for him on these stairs, and then blue stairs, of course, we saw Gunner in his attempt at an opening pick as well. As I say this, the two players are likely to be falling off. They'll have some intel from the Valkyrie cam, probably the most important operator that didn't get banned out on the defensive side. Can's going to be rocking that op. We'll probably see a lot of Valk throughout this game. Her C4s combined with Geos as well can be very, very deadly if any attacker wants to go for a kitchen defense or trying to stop that plant as it goes down late.
One thing I always love to highlight about DarkZero is how strong they are with these cameras. That right there, Jesse, that's the first camera they've lost in this entire round. We're halfway through this. And that's a really big deal. Having that info game at your disposal at all times makes your job a heck of a lot easier, especially for some of these more agitated defenders that are trying to pressure things like main stairs for Rexon. But he's going to be forced back, but still info going to be found from Canadian. Loving this Jackal pick here.
Two nades is an important thing as well for DarkZero. They're not bringing the Yana, they're not bringing Glaz, they're not bringing the Nooks. So there's not a lot of options for grenades left in the meta, but NJR are going to be their only set. Might be kind of tough to get yourself an advantage. And Cans in, especially with that C4. We saw the intel earlier coming out, the opening pick onto Pambazoo.
What is that Claymore setup in secret?
No.
And Canadian's holding the hatch. He'll take down Gunner, and yet again, he just finds these weird situations he gets himself in. He'll eventually be the first frag for Soniqs yet again.
So it's going to be a 4v4 execute when we get on down to it. It's unfortunate Gunner went down there because otherwise they would have had advantage thanks to that C4 play. Geo up here in dirt. Looks like it's going to be a push mostly focused around kitchen. We've got a couple of players in there to start things off. There is a couple of players outside of dirt as well. With 30 seconds, the Jackal ping's coming forward. It's going to be DarkZero making their attempt. Not yet.
Oh, Canadian Flirting with death inside of Dirt, and he'll get it. Geometrics delivers with the SMG-11, but there's now drops into sight from DarkZero. NJR, all hands on deck. Hyper will take down Kansan, but they still have to worry about the Dirt player. We're going to start the plan about halfway through that for Eclipse, as he'll continue to hold on to that inside of Dark. An impact out, and a kill for Rexen. It's all down to NJR, the L85 by his side, but they've got good info, and Geo can't miss with the SMG. The Soniqs find the first round, despite that early pick onto Gunner.
It's so tough when you're not running heavy roam strategies to have that massive advantage on the attack, right? For DarkZero, ideally on that bomb site, if there's a heavy roam, you can kind of win it in the early round. When they're playing so defensively in sight, you have to win it in the late round, and that makes it very chaotic. That makes it very difficult. Back in the day when you've got LMGs and you've got frag grenades, you know, maybe that's a little bit easier, but these days when it comes down to just the straight gunfights, it can be quite difficult to find that advantage when you end up pushing the site. They had it with the catch onto Gunner, just unfortunate that came after the opening death from Pambazoo on that C4. So ultimately a nice little site play from Soniqs. They have the crossfire set up, that one gunfight being won by Geo in the dirt tunnel, really freeing them up because they didn't have that pinching angle coming down for them. It was mostly focused around that kitchen drop. So a very impactful pickup by Geo. Nice to see him popping off and getting 2 kills in the first round of the map.
Yeah, Geo truly was the man to pull that single card out the bottom of the tower there, and everything just comes crashing down as you expect. Dirt is such a pivotal position for that play for the kitchen drop. If you do not handle that smoke player accordingly inside of Dirt, they can just end the round through their utility alone, especially if it gets to later times. So unfortunate misfire there from Canadian as he pressures alone into Dirt, but somebody had to do something. The timer's dwindling. You have to make these, you know, strong, decisive decisions, and sometimes they go awry. But past the first round now and into the second, we're going to have a, I believe, Master Gym defense, and we will. The Soniqs going to be extending themselves towards the eastern side, and not only that, but we've got Jaeger and Wamai in play here too.
Well, there'll be no frag grenades to catch from Jaeger and Wamai. It's just going to be a Yana, or sorry, it's going to be an Amaru and a Vink? No, what's this?
Ying line?
Ying. Well, I'm not a caster. Ying coming through on Canadian. Listen, we've got some exciting ops here. It's a first cast in a while. We got some exciting ops from DZ, right? We've got some fast, aggressive kind of rush type operators. We'll see what the plan is for them. Canadian currently on the roof. Hyper could be coming up the Gym hatch, and often a move that we see. Could also come up Con, but we'll see. I think Gym may be a little bit more likely with the fuse kit currently being held by Eclipse, but they could trade that off later, and he is currently positioned down there. So with intel coming through, I don't expect them to be able to hit this cache site head on. Canadian priming these Candelas, we may see a very fast execute onto the Soniqs Gym hold.
Oh, this could be a little crazy here. I do believe Gunner has a disc there, so it'll catch the first, but this Candela should most definitely deliver. We'll see what he can get done here. Canadian's going to swing in. They've already powered through, and Gunner's going to miss crucial shots. He's killed Kansan as well. Hyper takes down the construction player, and it's all left up to Rexen. He'll rotate in. He'll get at least the buck, but how long can he make it down this path? They know exactly where he is. More than likely be holding the construction door. He's marked out by the E1D, but finally Pambazoo will send him to his grave, and DarkZero get their first round.
Beautiful little pocket push coming through from DarkZero there. Of course, you've got the Ying Candelas coming down in through Logi, and then you also have the Amaru coming up through the hatch, being able to have that pinching support. Really did catch those players on site off guard from the Soniqs. They had that extension over to cache, which basically every team does, right? Not a huge surprise to see that coming through, but the rest of DZ coming in through to the Jacuzzi probably should have realized on the side of Soniqs that there wasn't a lot of pressure coming through the cache side. They had Con open, which did a great job of cutting off those players who wanted to retreat over from the extended roam, but unfortunately from Soniqs, they just couldn't make it back to site in time. Very fast execute from DarkZero, really hammered those home, and I think you saw the impact from those Candelas really coming through from Canadian, getting a couple of picks in that push. That was beautiful execute to see from DarkZero.
Yeah, very well done from Canadian. Catching Gunner completely off guard as well. I don't think that he was aware that he was actually in the room until he had already made it to that angle. You know, shots start getting fired, and he's like, oh no, someone's in logistics. Ends up losing that gunfight as well. I'm feeling bad for Gunner at this moment because I feel like he just can't get that highlight play he's looking for, where he's like, hey, you know, I'm here and I'm ready to play for the Soniqs. But hopefully it comes inside of this matchup still very early on as we are just now getting into round 3.
A bit of a slow start from Gunner, but again, he's got a lot of fraggers on his team. Rexen's been having a very good game so far, so we'll wait and see where that comes later on in the game. We've got CCTV Cache as our bomb site for round number 3. Canadian on the Monty. He's likely going to be coming up through the garage side of things, through rafters, to try to be pushing out the player that might be playing up on the top floor there. Currently, there are 2 players, one outside the window and then one, of course, on top of the rafter stairs himself. It's going to be Rexon and likely Kansan up there in those positions. So for DarkZero, there's a lot of pressure to take those players out early. Grixer on the Valkyrie once again extending over to the gym side of things alongside Gunnar. So 2 very far off-site players. You don't see this too often, but it provides a lot of opportunities to get some early picks.
Yeah, they really got to start playing this to the outside, though, because the big problem is, since Canadians on Monty, they have free pressure. They can walk into garage whenever they want to. They can really do whatever as long as it revolves around him. And this is the beauty of the new Monty as well. He's got so much secondary hard breach. You can just toss an EMP in. He can have secondary hard breach or smoke. So whatever really you want to bring, I mean, it's just exemplified by that shield and how you get to play around Montang. So for DarkZero, they're going to begin coiling around the site. Now, the important factor that comes into a plant for CCTV has got to be what they do with garage. They really need to dislodge Rexon here, as well as the player in tow with him. As you can see, Canadians made it to the top of the stairwell. I was very scared to see if he slides that shield or not, Jesse J. Chick, but I don't think he does. Instead, it's Kansan that pops out from mini stairs. He'll take down Eclipse. Canadians still trying to manage both of these players as they've hounded down on his location. Gunnar going to be able to take down NJR, and this is just falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, nice to see Gunnar on the board, and that's a 2-player advantage for the Soniqs. Having both of these players up on rafters, both the Jaeger and the Wamai, makes it very, very difficult for the Monty to coordinate with the rest of the team. Hyper going to be at a good angle to try to pinch. Very tight angle, but there's no swing from Gunnar, covering his teammate up inside of rafters, taking down Hyper, relieving that pressure from his teammate. Beautiful to see. Rexon eventually down, finished off by Canadian, but still it's a massive man disadvantage. They don't know where Kansan's at. This is all falling apart for DarkZero. Troy in the bomb site, but he can't stay for long. Too many C4s, 45 seconds, and only a pistol. Not a chance. Gunnar finally showed up in the server.
What an amazing adaptation there from the Soniqs, recognizing what was more than likely going to happen with the Monty, so they reclaim downstairs, get secret stairs and lounge and everything, and then if they're allowed to play around there and Monty walks in, hey, that's fine, but anybody that doesn't have something bulletproof in front of them, they're going to get shot and killed. And that's exactly what we saw. Nobody was there to be able to back up Canadian because of the amount of pressure that the Soniqs had around that area, and there was nowhere to deliver. They had, as you said, just a crap load of stuns, which is great. You can blind somebody, but you can't kill them, and that's the problem. You're not actually dislodging that player. You're just making them not be able to see for a little bit, and that's fine when the man downstairs is holding your cross.
Lack of nades has really shown itself in this meta to be a big problem for teams on the attack. Of course, you've got options, and right now it looks like DZ are going to opt to bring, I was about to say, 2 sets of nades. Pamba switching off, so probably only going to be the ones. Oh, switching again. Hyper going to be bringing them out.
Those nades probably.
Yeah, could go EMPs, but on this bomb site, you know, there's not a whole lot that you want to be able to up with Kaid Band. Obviously, that's going to allow you to bring more of those grenades. You could still bring the EMPs, we'll see, but it's interesting.
So, this is going to be quite the round here with the Nook, because they're going for the extended roam, so do you just get the initial job done and just try and make a play for the site? That almost feels like the main stairs push right there is... It might be demon time. I don't know, man. We'll have to see how they try and use this, but that's what we're trying to get at. There's so many options when Nook is on the board, because just her existing is a threat, because you don't know if she's just going to walk through a random camera and now all of a sudden she's on site and 2 people are dead.
They'll bring 4 nades, but there's not a whole lot of hard utility that they're going to need to throw them at, so they can throw them at the players instead to try to force them off of these extended positions. It's a Mute Mozzie Vigil, full drone denial setup being run by the Soniqs, so it's going to be a complete different strategy from what we saw back in round number 1. Hopefully for them it can find some success. Rexon with an aggressive C4, unlikely to find a frag. Nobody's up there at the moment, but perhaps if he times that well, he could get something if he's lucky. Although we're looking at DarkZero now. They've got to be able to get some of these kills or at least clear them out quickly. It doesn't have to be both. You don't have to kill everybody super fast, but one or the other really needs to come in for DarkZero.
All right, Eclipse is going to get a free wall to the west-hand side. That's going to force Gunnar back towards main. Obviously, Rexon will still be upstairs inside of Master. They want to try and keep this extended hold for as long as humanly possible. Can they waste more time from the Soniqs is the answer. They've got a very good supporting cast here. Things like Grixer inside of stock holding onto the hatch to make sure NJR can't claim this and allow some of his teammates to make their way back to site. And the beauty of this entire setup is that they've been able to waste so much of DZ's time. You can see how Hyper's trying to hold the rotation in for Garage here, but nobody truly wants that. They want to try and work their way back towards that stock room or down secret stairs, and it seems like Soniqs is going to make it out scot-free.
Yeah, everybody from Soniqs making it back to the bomb site at around 1:30. It's not the most time we've ever seen wasted, but at least you've got a 5v5 on site. You're not going to have the same utility that you had in the first round because you dedicated so many of these resources to the roam. Obviously, a lot of those mute jammers are up there, the Capcan traps are up there, likely the jammers, and just Vigil himself not being highly effective here on the anchor position. Now, Geo is still aggressive, and he gets out. It's okay. Missing some shots, and Geo escaping with about half his HP. Very lucky to be alive here. 1 minute on the clock. And no! The Capcan trap. Grixer's going to get the first kill on a Pamba. LOL XD. I agree.
I wholeheartedly agree, my friend. Grixer's gonna get taken out at the ankles here. Have to get him some KT tape to try and put those back together in between rounds. But this is gonna make it to where DZ no longer have any kind of advantage walking into this. Definitely sitting at the downward angle at the current moment. 30 seconds remaining, and they have to get downstairs. Geo and the rest of the Soniqs are just awaiting their arrival. Hyper's gonna pre-fire some stuff, but obviously this is gonna give up his location. The Soniqs continue to deliver in the frag department. NJR to go down. Kansan, a chance for a multi-frag here, but Rex will get the first. Kansan gets the second. Not the last one, though. Eclipse will at least get one for his worries and prevent the flawless, but does it really matter when the round goes the way of SQ? Yeah,
great teamwork around Blue there. The brunt of the push coming in from DarkZero was focused around that part of the bomb.
Going on in the early game, they try and set up to go for kind of that hammer and anvil clear on the top floor, but Hyper isn't even in an advantageous position, even given the circumstance that he's Nook. Instead, he goes to Garage, which is like the most straightforward way back, right? We see a lot of teams do that, but they don't have anything inside of Garage. They don't have a player in Garage. They don't have anything. So the Soniqs aren't going to rotate that way. They more than likely know he's in that area, and instead they hop right down in Lounge and escape through secret stairs or the stock hatch, and he's literally right next door. They're in the same zip code, and he's not able to even touch a single person. So, you know, you're looking to get a little bit more out of a Nook pick there, especially when he's able to sneak kind of into the back line like that. You know, but that's more than likely something that DarkZero wanted to touch on. And what the hell is happening here? Rexon bodies NJR. I look down, and all I see is a health bar depleting. I believe he got him all the way over inside of construction.
Yep. He was inside a stock and he hit the long angle through the door. Really unfortunate for NJ. Currently 0-5 in the server, the lowest player by a KD metric. So really not the start that he's looking to have. The one round that DarkZero were able to win was on this bomb site, but unfortunately it was with a really, goofy strat, a little bit of a meme strat, something that you typically aren't going to see twice, right? It was a rush with a bunch of utility that probably doesn't get seen again. Now they've brought out some other interesting operators instead. Buck's kind of neat, Zero's kind of neat, Collie's the real one that you're looking at here, of course, playing the windows, making the presence known. Okay, Canadian not afraid to fire off a couple of shots and let the enemy team know, hey, I've got a sniper rifle on this window, please don't peek it, or do, and see what happens. But ultimately, Soniqs are going to be able to start themselves off with a nice little advantage there, and that will slow DarkZero on this execute.
Yeah, it feels like he's just trying to show some absolute authority, right? He's trying to make sure that they know that they can't peek these windows. It's kind of like playing plane and you hear glass outside. Yeah, I'm just going to prone. Yep. I suddenly am a crawling animal. I can't stand, actually. And yeah, that's exact feeling. You do not want to get bodied by that rifle when you're crossing. So I have to see here, obviously DarkZero, worse for wear, at least for the time being, is they have lost NJR, and they're trying to make sure to clear out all of these hard-to-reach places, see if there's any rotations coming through downstairs, and now Pambazu will be able to try and work his way into bar successfully. He'll impact the floor and get rid of this mirror window. Not able to deal with Geo just yet, but Geo is on a hair's worth of HP. Literally anything is able to kill this man. Pambazu going to miss some crucial shots, though, as they'll tag off of the pipes.
If only they had a buck. Unfortunate that opening death means it's so difficult to be able to clear out a player from there. Of course, great work coming in from the Zofia of Pambazu, but still a lot of work to be done. They're up already inside of the site. Gunner's about to get himself into a gunfight, but they're not looking the right way, Sam.
I don't know what's happening here. Pambazu's going to take control. Gunner, luckily enough, will bounce back for the Soniqs. Now it's down into the 2v2. That was another thing I was kind of worried about, having Canadian on that rifle outside. It doesn't really do that much for you. He's practically just somebody that's going to stand there and hold an angle. He's eventually going to have to try and move forward with the pistol, but that allows Soniqs' late flank to come through, and they'll gun him down from the server window. It's up to Eclipse to try and bring this back for DZ. He does have the case, doesn't have any stuns any longer, and no more drones, but that 1.5 has been working for so many pros throughout the last couple of years, and it might give Eclipse the win here. A quick look up on the Evil Eye, but only really blocking the hand and making sure that he can't punch it. Eclipse more than likely dead in moments, and he will be, as Gunnar will gun him down, claim the round, show exactly why he's on this Soniqs roster. That was a hectic round, either way you cut it for either squad, but Soniqs able to make it out of the thick of it.
They push it like 55 seconds, and it's a really interesting decision to go that quickly into the round because A, they were lacking intel. They didn't know that Rexon was over here cash side. They didn't seem to know where that player inside of Logi was. Really felt like they didn't have the full picture of what was going on inside of the site. And B, they had 7 drones still alive. 8, I believe. 7 deployed, 1 still in someone's pocket. So you seemingly have that information you could have played with. You had the time. You could have used that information. Instead, you choose to rush it. You choose to go a little bit earlier. The advantage of that, of course, is you're hopefully catching the opponents off guard, right? You're pushing when Soniqs maybe aren't expecting it, but really without that information, DarkZero were gambling as they walked into that site. And as you said with the Collie, I just don't really know how much value it gets. There's not a great long angle inside of Gym. Like, you can play on those windows, but you've got to play pretty
There's
close.
a better way to say this. There's no good long angle in the entirety of Clubhouse. It does not exist. The name one. The one is from stalls downstairs all the way to the kitchen door that goes outside. That's what you're going to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's not a lot of great angles for snipers on this map. You could play the rank strat and go sit inside a spawn inside of platform wall. Yeah, wait for somebody to peek that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think
Silver
that's
they do.
I think that's what Canadian wanted, really.
Yeah.
They denied him.
Maybe.
Oh my goodness. But no, I'm just questioning what is happening with DarkZero right now, because this is not typically how we see offenses go, especially with Canadian at the helm. You know, if somebody had to step in and play for DZ, this is what I think a lot of their offenses would look like, right? Like they're almost there, right? But they're not just getting everything to go all at once. The meshing just isn't following through, and a lot of times they're getting punished quite early on, and it's making the game a lot more difficult for them. I mean, that last round obviously showing that quite well. You know, losing NJR and making it to where Troy had to do some weird things with Holly. Not going to be able to rush this down, obviously, as the Goyo canister will be attached to this break in CCTV. That fire will be there for some time, and Canadian chooses to start working his way towards Garage. Now, how does it go this time?
Well, you've still got the Monty. Seems like a very similar strat. Once again, Soniqs are not bringing any hard breach denial, so the EMPs on Canadian won't really find a home unless they want to go up on these Raptors to maybe take down some of those ADSs or Magnus if you can find them. Vulcan canister dealing a lot of damage to Canadian. Really good value out of the Goyo there from the player up inside of Raptors. Rexon going to be able to use his utility there. A couple more gunfights happening there on the platform wall as well. It is Rexon who's up here in the Raptors with the Vector. Not the easiest of guns to take extended fights with, but perhaps could still be able to pick up a frag or two. That utility very important as well. Gunner, gotta be careful with those jump outs, eh?
Yeah, quite scary situation for Gunner, but fortunately enough, he'll find the drone before they find him. And what is happening here? Rexon, so many shots missed, but Eclipse down to 1 HP. No nitro cell for the Goyo any longer, and some serious pressure from DZ. Gunner, are you aware of the player moving in behind you? NGR can't hit the flicks, but they definitely know he's in the area now. NGR trailing the player upstairs. So much influence, but Pambazoo, out of all players, pops off. He'll take down 2. I think they've got garage control. Yes, they do indeed. And there's 3 players remaining for the Soniqs. So much time for DarkZero here. Concussions in onto Kansan's location from NJR. But look at the health pool for DZ.
Pambazoo got a good couple of kills. They're in now, going for the plant. Of course, Canadian's in position, but he doesn't have the defuse kit. It's going to be Hyper outside on the wall. He's going to give it to Canadian. Great way to move out of the way of that C4. I think that was unintentional, but you accomplish it anyways. 30 seconds, 1 player down. It's Hyper, equalizing to a 3v3. A kill on red stairs. Cans on to NJ. Suddenly, Sonic with numbers advantage, and Canadian's still got a plant. 20 seconds. These toxic babes have all been used up by Geo. Canadian trying to pull out the pistol. He's really got to go for this plant and pray that Pambazoo can cover. He's holding the angle in through the door to Cash. Loses the fight and cans in with the refrag on a Canadian. Really great defense from Soniqs. They didn't have numbers, but they pulled it off.
The adaptations from the Soniqs and their ability to try and adjust around some crazy circumstances, you know, like that pressure from DarkZero there inside of Garage, I think, really caught them off guard, especially with the timing of it. You know, I think Rexon definitely expected to get a little bit more out of that for himself. That kill onto Eclipse really would have set the pace for that Garage, situation that was going on. But the thing is like, even if you are on low HP, right, you're still a body, and that's the thing, is like, you're still able to play those situations. Perfect one being NJR, right? He stays alive. He's able to play off of mini, concuss the top of red, and kind of hold that area, making it even more difficult for the Soniqs to try and rotate off of site and maybe deal with things through verticality. And for DZ, they're just not really able to get past the utility that the Soniqs had built up for them on that site. The Goyo canister smoke special, man. It's just so much delay, because you have to remember those Goyo canisters hold for 20 seconds now, which is just ludicrous. That's so much time. And I mean, everyone, you could have seen how large that fire pool is, right? I mean, there's just so much flame everywhere. There's nowhere to really move, even if you are Monty. We saw Troy try to motion in towards Garage. He takes half his HP worth of damage while he's actively trying to back away, Jesse.
Well, we talk Rookie of the Year, Canadian versus Gunner, and although it was a slow start from Gunner and we had our worries after the first game, he has really stepped it up. 8-3 currently in the server, the highest number of kills out of anybody on Soniqs. We've seen him turn things around on the defensive halves. Now they'll swap things up, and most of the community picking Canadian there. You know, sometimes you got to go for the meme, sometimes you got to pick the old man for Rookie of the Year, but ultimately in this matchup, it's been Gunner who's been the better player of the two, and it's finally nice to see him having a great day today.
Yes, indeed. Over a 2.0 KD, like a 2.1, 2.2 right now at that 8-3, and 0 assists. You don't need anybody's help. He's going to do it all himself. And why not? Gunner, still one of my favorite players to watch in the entire league, and they have him on ace right now with that AK-12. Been loving that gun recently with the 1.5, but the caster's curse will strike, and NJR will hop in construction to his decimation from the SMG.
Unfortunate decision there. We are, of course, still down on the bottom floor base bomb site, so it's going to be tough for Soniqs to bounce back after they've already lost one of their key players here on the roam hunt. They're wanting to find at least a couple of these more aggressive players. No drone denial really being brought up by DarkZero, instead choosing operators like Alibi, like Legion, who can contribute to the roam game in other ways. But after getting one pick, it looks like DarkZero are satisfied. They've wasted about half the round, and as soon as Canadian chooses to fall back, they will be in a man advantage with all players on site. As long as Canadian doesn't die in this rat spot. Okay.
And that's really the ask as well. But the thing is past that is the operator lineup that DZ have is just such an annoying lineup for this kind of a situation, because as they're falling back to site, not only do you have the smokes, but you have the Legion mines, you have all those clones standing in angles that you're going to want to pre-fire, and you have Banshees to deal with. So, I mean, you have a lot of utility still to go through. You're really hoping that Rexon has some impacts to match those nades of cans. Unfortunately, that they'll be able to equalize with getting that kill onto Pamba. But where's Canadian? He's still inside of Lounge. Does have those goon mines over inside of Secret, but he's not going to be worried about that too much. The drone? Oh, I don't think it saw him, Jesse. I think he's actually slipped through the cracks here.
Did it? It looked like it turned his way. I'm not sure if it saw him or not.
They're playing 4-3. They definitely didn't see him.
Yeah, okay. Listen, they're going into Oil Pit now. If they did see him, and it doesn't look like they are just based on the drone positions of some of these players, they are ignoring it. It's going to be Kansas inside of Kitchen right now, who's trying to avoid these C4s instead. Canadians still not moving. 30 seconds left. They've got to get this hatch open. They've got to go for a play. It's going to be very difficult to make this execute with such little time that they've got, and with the one player behind, Canadian could be in a really bad spot.
Well, Rexon's going to take down Eclipse on site. This should activate Canadian. He has to do something about this. Inside his stock, as in the moment, waiting for the swing into Secret. He'll get one, but Rexon already got the kill, and DarkZero can't fight back off of site. Canadian waited so long for one kill, but it might be the round because of it. Kansan will be able to at least get the case down, and now Canadian with the equalizer. No impacts to make new holes in this flooring either. Grixer now pseudo on the defense. He's got the whole site set up to play around, some info around as well with these drones that are actively on the floor, and Grixer's going to reposition himself into Secret. What an angle for him. Canadian has to bounce back and forth, just looking to see where the shots are coming from. Oh, big miss from Grixer. Canadian with the pre-fire as well. He's going to try and dog him, and they're both going to get 50 HP. Down to 10 seconds here. Grixer awaiting Canadian. He's going to have to try and fake this as soon as possible. He sticks it because pros don't fake, and Grixer will pick it up.
It was the MVP from yesterday versus the highest rated player, and Grixer will prevail. What an impressive round from the Soniqs, being able to execute with so little time. It was like 25 seconds when they were getting that kitchen hatch open, and that was where they chose to go for their execute. The fancy footwork from Kansan kept them alive inside a kitchen. They had that top-down pressure, and although Canadian was in a good spot, he was a little bit slow in having an impact against these players. He didn't find anybody crossing his path, so we really didn't get to see him in the engagement until the push was actually well underway. And then the anchors just falling apart. They couldn't hold it down long enough for Canadian to get that impact in. So very impressive round. And just like that, Soniqs are up on match point with DZ. Only one round to their name.
All right, Mr. Schick, were you walking in here thinking we were going to see a 7-1?
No, nobody was walking in here thinking we were 7-1. We had most of the desk and most of the cast just picking DarkZero. This was supposed to be at least a close game. Yeah, and that's the exact opposite of what we're getting. And it continues to be the passive plays that are punishing DarkZero. We saw that from Canadian there. You know, if he maybe gets a little bit more active, can maybe make a rotation or something. Obviously, the Soniqs, I mean, they can have some things up to make sure that that flank is shut down, but you have to do something. You can't just let your site setup be decimated, because then you're just one person against multiple. I mean, fortunately enough, right, he gets that frag onto the player via the kitchen hatch, but I mean, if it was going to be that late of a rotation in the first place, you should have just tried to contest the vertical player, you know, 20 seconds ago. There was a couple of different decisions that could have been made there, but you really can't fault Canadian too much given the circumstances. There's a lot going on there. He has that drone that's going in towards Secret, so, you know, beggars can't be choosers. He asked for that rotate, or asked to stick on Rome, and it just simply doesn't work out for him. Do or die, DarkZero, round number 8. They're here on CCTV Cash. They've got the Bandit, and they're going to try to trick. There are no EMPs being brought by Soniqs, so they're going to have to open that up with a frag grenade from below. They did bring 2 of those from Grixer. They've also got Cans and Zofia charges to try to open that up as well, but the bottom floor are going to be very important here. Canadian falling off now, kind of recognizing that's not going to come at him soon. He can play there with the wall being opened up as well from below. What? That's going to be it opened. Pambazu, the first kill into Gunner, though. The Capitao going to fall. I think he got him via the little window angle that's opened up for the garage panel. So that used to be the bread and butter. Open that up and then launch those Capitao bolts in towards the double wall, making it to where Bandit cannot trick no matter what he does unless you have a Wamai in the way. So for the Soniqs, they'll finally feel the wrath of DZ as they'll pull ahead early here, but that doesn't mean that Soniqs can't close this out in 7-1 fashion still. They have so many tools at their disposal. I am just staring down Grixer's little profile picture here, just waiting to see if he gets into an engagement. Still have everything else making quite a bit of sense, though, as Hyper will continue to hold things down in Raptors. They really don't have an advantage here. Grixer coming in from behind could be it. He likely is unseen, using that charge from the Nook to be able to sneak in past the default camp at the top of the main stairs. Canadian falling back, doesn't seem to know that he's back there, so that is the power of the Nook. If he can sneak in late and go for an execute, they don't have Raptors. So far, all they have open is platform wall. Grixer, is he going to be able to get this pick? There's a shield there to try to protect the Bandit. Canadian might be playing behind it, but he knows there's somehow intel there. Let him know, Canadian. Disrespects, good lord. That was disgusting from Troy. A 6 cents. Rookie of the Year, still going for it here in year 7 as he'll take down the Nook. But that's just a prime example of how detrimental that operator can be. If Grixer has a little extra battery, then more than likely Troy's dead, but it doesn't seem to matter for the Soniqs. 2 quick kills, NJR will bounce back. It's a 3v2 in favor of the defense, but they have garage control. Where's this case at? It's outside on platform. They're going to have to try and get Rexen up there to get it, as Kansan has that supporting angle, but he still has to cross across this red hallway right here, which has Pambazu in the wings. Very little HP, 20 seconds. Rexen's got that defuse kit. He's going to cross red stairs. Actually, players going down. Rexen's going to get that kill. They're going for the frags. He finds the angle. 10 seconds, though. They got to pick it up, and they can't. DarkZero staying alive. What a move there at the last second. I don't know which Soniqs player it was. I believe it was Rexen that almost had that 2K line up for him inside of Cash. But what a moment there. One where Soniqs could have just quickly swept this one under the rug. But DarkZero, they'll stay alive. I like the decision to go for the kills, right? You have 2 players left alive. Your time is so low, and you don't really have the health to try to go for that plant there. So Rexen gets the angle in through red stairs, somehow wins that first fight, and then has almost the potential to get the other 2, but unfortunately does fall overall, and that's going to be the round for DarkZero. It should have been the round for DZ. It felt better for them overall, and it took Soniqs a long time to really get anything going. They eventually had Rafters, but it was quite late from them, and I think you really do got to give credit again to Canadian for spotting out that Nook one way or another, knowing that he was being crept up on and winning that gunfight, because that really did disable the entire pinching strategy of the Soniqs, and it meant it so their push ended up being very one-dimensional.
Yep, that was completely game sense. They had no idea that Grixer was there at all. That's all just Troy's intuition and a little voice in his head going, hey, they're taking a little while on this push. Somebody can totally walk inside of Master. I should keep checking this.
Yep.
And he gets it eventually. So, again, just huge praises to this guy.
It's crazy. A rookie's got such game sense. You'd think he's playing the game for years.
We're going to convince somebody. Somebody at home's going to tune in for the first time and be like, oh, Canadian's a rookie? Okay. No. In fact, this place we're in right now, he actually built this, if you ask him. So,
yeah, hand-built clubhouse from the ground up.
I signed those bricks, boy. You better keep my name out of your mouth. But for the Soniqs, just one last thing I wanted to highlight around that round.
Yeah.
The play of Rexon and Kansan in that 2vx situation there and how they played off of each other for that swing towards top red. If I don't see the rest of you in all of Pro League performing like that, I don't even want to talk to you or your team. Like, you better be playing off of each other like that in a team environment, because that was truly incredible. But even in such a high, tense situation, they're still just waiting for that little extra time to get with each other and make plays as a team. And that's how you win rounds. That's how they get that close. So, fantastic stuff for the Soniqs, but they're looking to close it out now. We're about a minute in, but not too much action. DarkZero going to start with this top roam, or at least an extended hold, rather. So we'll be inside of Gym and Master.
Yeah, opening up the platform wall, we do have an extension from Hyper inside of Cash, but he seemingly has fallen back to construction. Eclipse was down below, trying to play with the C4. Still could, of course, the intel could be fed by Hyper, but with how far back he's fallen, it's going to be quite difficult for that information to come through. It will be claimed by Soniqs, though. Every time DarkZero attacked this site, they chose to kind of avoid the Cash extension, but Soniqs choosing to fight it head on. If they don't have a drone for Eclipse, it could be dangerous, because he is the player who's looking to walk up red and perhaps catch one of these players when they're not expecting it.
The big problem is, as well, is he has that nitro cell inside of his kid, so he doesn't even actually have to go face-to-face with them. If he can get inside a stock, somebody inside a Cash is more than likely dead. But fortunately enough for Soniqs, they've actually worked past this already. They have construction, and I mean, yes, they can have a nitro cell express delivered through the cons hatch, but that's kind of a big ask. A lot of the times we see them worry about that in the first place, so might not be the best give, but Pambazoo, heck of a shot towards Kansan as he'll take him down inside a red, and he'll back it up as well. Rexon tries to get the refrag as he'll try and sneak through the rotation, but DarkZero, they are taking it to the Soniqs.
Put him to bed, Pambazoo. What a shot from him to make it a two-man advantage. Now it's three. The last two players of Gunner and Grixer, the two Gs inside the Logi side of it. Pamba, the third kill on the round on the Gunner, trying to make it a flawless. Grixer falls. Beautiful play by Pambazoo and DarkZero, another round.
You see my watch?
What's that watch?
You know what time it's at? You know what time it is?
it?
It's Pamba time, baby.
Pamba time.
Oh my gosh, it's Pamba party time. Triple kill, and not only that, but bodies Rexon on the window. I mean, look at this first shot accuracy here. Donk, just immediately, right when that reticle actually reaches the center of the screen, the first bullet just nails him right in the face.
And then he stops to type lol at him. He knows how disrespectful he hit him with it.
Disgusting. I was making so many jokes yesterday when TSM had that game where Mahesi had GN in his name, and Merc was just bodying everybody. I was like, Merc's probably like, take my name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
You take that out of your tag, that's mine. It's copyrighted.
My goodness.
Yeah, but DarkZero making a grand stand right now on defense. I don't want to call this too early, but it does look like they're starting to put a comeback together.
Yeah, it very well could. I mean, it's two good rounds, and they weren't even like clutches, right? Those were dominant rounds where Soniqs really struggled to get going at the start. Of course, in that second, or in that one that we just watched, great, you know, take of Cash side, but it was a little bit slow. They didn't actually get any picks off of it. They didn't have anybody for the cutoff on construction window or anything like that. So the result was that they got positioning, but they didn't get a whole lot else. And that opening pick from Pambazoo was so important. Even if he didn't follow it up with that nutty flick onto the second player on the window, just getting that entry is so important to stop that push from Soniqs and make them rethink a little bit what they're doing there over on the east side. But it's a new day, it's a new round here, round number 10 down in the basement, and we're going to be running with a bit of a roam strategy once again, but again, no drone denial.
I'm absolutely loving this from all of the teams we've seen across the board on every map. We've been seeing a lot of extended holds, and I think it's everyone's realization of just how impactful the secondary utility is. And now it's kind of forcing everyone to get inside of some of these early engagements and at a minimum waste time. You have to drain one of these resources, and it might be utility, it might be a kill, it might be time, but one of these three things has to go. Otherwise, the offense can just take full control of the map and have a pretty easy day, at least in the current meta, with getting things open that they really need to, and start applying that pressure towards the defensive setup. So that's where we're going to see DarkZero on this extension, and that's going to force SQ to try and go for this clear more than likely, as we saw from DZ in their clear. They just ended up setting Hyper inside of Garage and seeing if they could force the players into the rotation through the Garage window, but they had everything set up on that side to make some safe rotations back through Secret and Stock.
Bit slow once again from the Soniqs, yet to even see a player on their screens, let alone get into a gunfight with them. Pambazoo over on the strip side looking to be in the first engagement, but again, nobody's really here. NJR in a bit of a position to help him out, make sure nobody flanks on him. Rexon going to be coming down from the top floor. Everybody did leave from DarkZero on the third floor with the walls getting opened up. They didn't want to risk it any longer. And once again, we're likely to get in a situation where it's 5 players back on site, very low time for the Soniqs. The time works against them, but at the very least, there's not a crazy amount of utility down the site because they ran so many roaming ops.
Well, just as easy as that. And the Soniqs with 2, actually. Pambazoo is going to go down. I do believe that that was one of the site players, or either that or Pam was over towards main, I do believe. Something along those lines. We'll have to see if we can find his body a little while later. But past that, though, DarkZero now staring down the barrel of a 7-3. Gunner still playing patiently here inside of Stock, and the Soniqs wrapping around this site quite handedly. They haven't dealt with Kitchen just yet, but Kansan's got some good control over the center hallway.
It's a main stairs player who tried to go for a bit of a flank. It was NJR, but he got spotted on a drone, so he had to retreat. They're going to know his position, and he's not really going to have the opportunity to go for a flank in this 3v5. Of course, you want to get aggressive. You want to surprise the attackers and, you know, get that man advantage back. But with the hatches starting to open up, your options are being limited. Another drone is going to come down main stairs, catch him again, and make it 3. He's just got to force back and maybe try to play these holes from down below. But now with another player coming in from dirt, Samuel, this might be the end of it.
Oh, man, I'm sweating bullets over here, my friend. They don't have the kitchen hatch dealt with yet, but Gunner's going to take down Hyper. Gunner's actually all the way in on B3 right now. How has this been allowed? Kansan takes down NJR. Eclipse, he'll stop the Flawless, but he can't stop the Flood. The Soniqs will take it over DarkZero in such convincing fashion for a team who just picked up 2 people.
Very good start to the stage for the Soniqs. Their last win was close. SSG gave them a run for their money, but they made it look easy against Troy's new team.